All right, here is the steps for setting up your flag animation using the cloth modifier. First thing you want to do, go ahead and download a flag. I will use Brazil. Okay, when you download this, go ahead and you probably are okay with a medium JPEG. So go ahead and download that. That'll be in your downloads, and then we'll set up the flag. So I'll get rid of the cube. I am going to add in a plane. That is going to be what we use for the flag. I'll scale that up. So I'll press S to scale. And then 5 is good, so we'll hit 5. And then I will scale again, this time just on the y-axis. And then I'll make that a little longer. And that should be good enough size. So now we can go ahead and apply the texture. I'm going to change the viewport shading mode so we can see this, and I'll go to UV editing. And in UV editing, remember, you can apply the texture. So I'll go to materials. I'll go to the base color. And we'll go to image texture, and then just open up your downloaded flag. So Brazil, open, and then you should see the image here. And let's make sure we can see it here. All right, now you'll notice that it's probably going the wrong way. I want this to go the other direction, so we'll just change that. Easy way you can do that is just take your points here. Let's select all 4. And then I'll rotate. So press R. And then 90 to change it 90 degrees. So now it looks like it's going the right direction, but we just have to fit this to the flag. So I'll scale by pressing S, and then I'll press Y, and I'll just flatten that out to match the height. Then I'll click, and then I'll press S again. This time I'll press X, and I'll just widen that. And now we have a good flag. So now I can get out of UV editing, go back to layout. And now we can subdivide this. We're going to go back to edit mode, and we'll go to edge, we'll go to subdivide, and then I'll go to the window down here, and I'll just max that out to 10. I do actually want more cuts than this, so I will do that again. I'll press A to select everything, and then edge. And then this time subdivide, and we'll just do 1. And that should be good enough for this flag here. Let's go to object mode. And then I'll rotate this to make it vertical. So I'll press R. And I'll rotate on the y-axis. So I'll press Y. And then 90. And then I'll left click. I'm actually going to lift this up a bit so it's off the floor. So that is off the floor, and we're going to apply now a cloth modifier. So you know how to do this. So add modifier cloth, and remember when we did this first, all you have to do after you hit the modifier, press play, and then the simulation starts. I'm going to rewind that. Let's go ahead and add in a plane here, and I'll scale that up. And again, in order for this to kind of fold, we do have to put on anything that it might collide with the collision modifier. So now when I press play, and when it hits, it should kind of fold up, and that's good. Some things that we want to do here on the flag. Remember, your settings are in physics. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to collisions and I'll turn on self collisions so that it will bump itself when it folds. Now the other thing I want to do is I actually want to pin this so that it doesn't fall all the way down. Now the way we're going to do that is we're going to go into edit mode and we're going to select the points on this flag that we want to kind of attach to a flagpole. So I'll select the corner on this side and on this side. And then I'll select also the middle point. So these 3 points, these 3 vertices are the ones I want. And we're going to pin those. And the way we're going to do that is, number one, we're going to go down here to the object data, this green triangle. And we're going to create a vertex group of these 3 vertices. So I'll just hit plus. And that creates a new vertex group. And then I'll hit assign to assign those 3 points to this vertex group. And I'll change the name. So we'll call this pinned. So just to check, here I'll do this. I'll go to select and none. That's going to deselect those points. And then here on the vertex group, we'll say we have this pinned already selected. So if you click on select, it should select those points, and that tells you you have that correctly assigned. Now what we want to do with those pinned points is actually pin them. And we're going to do that in the physics window under the cloth in this section called shape. Now you'll see that when you open shape, you'll see pin group. And right now there's nothing there. But if we assign this vertex group to pin group, then that should kind of set that and leave that alone. And when you press play, now it should fall like a flag. And there you go. So now we have that. I'm going to go ahead and add in a cylinder, and this will be the flagpole. I'll just scale that down a bit. This does not have to actually be attached, but I'll just move it in close. Now on this pole, I do want to add the collision modifier just so when the flag falls, it does actually bump the pole. So like that. Now, what we do want to do though is we actually want to add this effect where the flag is blowing in the wind. So what we'll use is a force field. So I'm going to go to add force field and I'm going to select wind. And here is your wind object. I'm going to move that and I'm going to rotate it to kind of blow against this flag. Your wind settings are going to be in physics. And so you'll have one setting that's just called strength. I'll try 10 for now. Actually, I'll go 20. And now I'll press play. And you'll see now that wind has kind of this blowing effect on our flag. It's going to keep it upright, and we're almost there. If you want this to move faster, go ahead and on the cloth settings, on the cloth modifier, just go ahead and turn up speed multiplier. Oh, let's do this at 3. And you'll see this kind of, it'll move that simulation faster. Okay, so now we have most of our things here. Now we'll just kind of set it up. To finish your flag, you want to add in a subdivision surface modifier to smooth it out. And I'll just set that to 3 and 3. Now you will see that when you do that, you have these rounded edges here. So I'll go to edit mode. I'm going to go to Edge Select. I'm going to hold Option and click on the edges. And click again, and then make sure you have all edges highlighted. And then I'll go to Edge and Edge Crease. Just drag my mouse. That will make sure that stays sharp. And then when you go to Object Mode, you keep that nice and smooth. Now I'll just set up the last part, which is the camera, and then I'll render. So let me get a good shot of this. Try to make this flag nice and big in your frame. And that's good. I am gonna make sure that my lighting looks okay. So make sure your light is lighting up your flag. And I'll just darken the background just for some dramatic lighting, and then I can render. Now, when you render this, here are your settings. Let's go to 720. You can also punch in 1280, 720. We'll just do this 75%. And make sure you save this to your desktop or to your render folder. This is going to be an AVI JPEG, and that should look good. Again, you're rendering Eevee, and then you can go ahead and render animation. And then just let that render out, and you have your flag animation.